All right, looks like it's 10 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. My name is Leroy Willow. I'm a long sales engineer on the western slope of beautiful Grand Junction, Colorado. Um, Today, we're going to be talking with Johnny Allen from Oxygen8, and we're going to be going over fresh air that fits. We have some great products for you today on the Ventum and Nova series. And with that, I'm going to kick it off to Johnny and let him take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Leroy, and thanks to the long team for setting this up, and also everyone for being here. So I'll dive right into it here. Just a quick introduction. My name is Johnny. I work in the west coast of Vancouver Island. We are Oxygen8, and we are a DOAS and ERV manufacturer. We do all of our manufacturing locally in Canada here, and we work with reps throughout Canada and the States for these product lines. Our whole mantra and how we started to design the company was to create comfortable and healthy places for people to live, work, and play in an energy efficient way. We saw there was a gap in the market for, compact, low profile DOAS systems with energy recovery. So that's where we came out with our first product line, the Nova, and then subsequently the Ventum, which I'll dive into. So our products are 100% outside air. We have high efficiency energy recovery solutions through a fixed plate. MERV 13 filtration is standard, and a really cool aspect of us is we partnered up with Daikin and the Long team to provide VRV integration with our units, so you can provide that precise heating or cooling or dehumidification as needed, as well as we are allowing hydronic integration with our product lines. I'll discuss in a bit about our dehumidification with hot gas reheat, which is a new offering we're really excited to release, and also how we control these units. A couple of the unique features, as I mentioned, it's as low profile as possible. We try to keep these units compact because, as you all know, you're not given much mechanical room space these days. So it's tough to get equipment that is large enough in terms of airflow into tight spaces. We also have no recirculation, so no crossover. It's 100% outside air using our systems here. As I mentioned, we manufacture in BC. So we are a relatively new company. We're about 3 years old. Now, our CEO, James Dean, was the previous founder of a company called D Point Core, and they are a manufacturer of the ERVs we use actually inside of our units now. So once he sold that company about 5 years ago, we started up Oxygen8 with another guy named Matthew Doherty, who was a swag on VP of Engineering, and this is where we come up with our Oxygen8. So on the left, you'll see our first manufacturing facility here, which is in Burnaby, which is a suburb of Vancouver. And we're doing all of our commercial products being produced there now. We're just signed a lease to build a 45,000 square foot net zero factory, which we're really excited about, in Abbotsford, which is another suburb of Vancouver in Canada here. So we're growing through these manufacturing facilities. We do everything in-house, which is really great because it's given us the ability to keep our lead times down, where right now for our DOAS systems, we're at about 6 to 8 weeks in terms of lead time. So haven't faced the industry supply chain shortages that our others have. So I'm going to dive right into the product line here. So Leroy mentioned this before, but we do have our two commercial lines, the Nova and the Ventum. The Nova on the right was the first product we released, and we released it initially in 5 sizes, as you can see there, between 16 inches and 30 inches of depth, which range from 700 CFM up to 3,500 CFM. So that was the first product line we released. And you'll see in the interior of that unit, we have a cross-flow ERV core, which was the type of energy recovery that just meets ASHRAE 90.1. So you're getting about 50 to 55% total effectiveness. We saw there was also a gap in the high efficiency market. So we launched the Ventum unit, which is on the left there soon after. And that is ranging from 600 CFM up to 3,000 CFM. And also still in that low profile design that we got really excited about being able to offer that in the market. And it's only 32 inches in depth, and again, up to 3,000 CFM. So I'll dive into the components and the interior of these units, but the main difference is the type of energy recovery fixed plate core we're using, either a cross flow on the right or a counter flow on the left. And as Leroy mentioned before, what we've kind of coined the name is fresh air that fits. You'll see a couple projects here. For example, on the upper left here, we have an office space in Boston where we mounted one of the units in the ceiling. and actually tie that into a Daikin VRV system or a 5-ton connecting to a 5-ton outdoor unit. On the bottom left, there was a job we did in Seattle where they mounted a unit on the wall with hydronic integration. In the middle there, I will show you I'll show you a case study we did on this project, but this is a university dormitory we did in Vancouver here. And on the right, this was a really interesting one where another product was spec'd, but the unit couldn't actually fit through the door because it was a heritage building. So what we did is we shipped our fan section separately, and now our unit is mounted on the same side on the base of where the other unit was supposed to be mounted. So you can see how ours is much more compact and low profile. Just as an exciting project we worked on recently was this elementary school in Seattle in the Tacoma School District. We had 25 of these high efficiency ERVs or HRVs on the project, and we had 1 unit per classroom. And it was a unique offering because we were able to give these side access doors that you can see on the bottom right, where you're having 1 unit per classroom, getting a lot of fresh air, and then have water source heat pumps for the additional heating and cooling. So now to get into the thick of it with these units, we have, this is our Nova line. So again, the cross flow standard efficiency ERV. You'll see the top 5 models are what we initially launched, which range from 325 CFM up to 3,500 CFM. But then we saw a huge demand for outdoor units. So we brought the same type of product line and basically outdoorized it. You'll see in the bottom there, we go up to 8,100 CFM now. And this is all with that, as I mentioned, hydronic integration and VRV integration, which I'll show you in a minute. And also just to point out, so you'll see on the upper image here, that's the vertical mounted ERV. But for those indoor series, we can have them wall mounted, ceiling mounted, or vertically mounted as shown. So this is where the VRV integration comes into play. You see, you'll have our unit on the right there, just our standard Nova ERV unit. And what we do in our factory is install a DX coil into the box and work alongside the long team to get the expansion valve kit and what they call the Daikin W controller fully installed into this casing, so that when this arrives to site, you'll have the ERV and the DX coil, 2 separate boxes, but once they get wired through the sensors to our controllers and the piping gets connected to the outdoor unit, it's a plug and play solution where our unit will be controlling the whole thing and the discharge air temperature. If you look at that coil box on the left, you'll see the first box is the Daikin DX coil. The next section there is the access section. And then the following is the option for a post heater. So in this case, it was a hot water heater or hot water coil. And now onto the new higher efficiency option here, the Ventum. So this has the same integrations with VRV and hydronic integration. But again, it has that high efficiency counterflow core. So this core can be offered in an ERV or an HRV, and an ERV is able to recover both sensible and latent, and the HRV is able to cover just sensible. The benefit of the HRV is you get a higher efficiency, upwards of 85%, but you don't get the latent recovery there. So 2 considerations to make sure you are aware of. You'll see on the 2 fans there, we only offer ECM fans. Our suppliers for those are either Zilabeg or EBM Pabst out of Germany. And these are extremely high efficient fans. They are a bit oversized to handle upwards of 2.5 to 3 inches of external static pressure on our unit. So if there's long duct runs for these commercial products, it's never been an issue for us. And again, as I mentioned before, we're still looking at about 6 to 8 weeks for lead time. So we haven't had an issue supplying those fans yet. You'll also see in this unit, we have a bypass section there on the left. So this bypass can be either used for multiple types of either defrost mode, or defrost on the core, or bypass for economizer. And then on the left there, we also have our control box, which are DDC controls that are BACnet IP and allow us to operate this unit. If you need to tie into a BMS, you can. If it operates standalone, we're able to do that as well. It's all configured prior to leaving our factory here in Vancouver. So it's typically all taken care of before it arrives to site. So this is our factory. I took this picture a few weeks ago now. This is one of our Ventum units without the front panel on it. So you'll see here on the bottom right and left, we have our 2 ECM fans. Right above that, the filtration, and then in the middle, the counterflow core that I was mentioning before. And this unit will be able to achieve about 75% sensible recovery and 65% latent. So it's still high efficiency and is able to get that VRV integration. We also have our controls on the top there on the upper right. So those can be either mounted onto the unit, or we can ship that loose on a wiring harness if there's limited space and restrictions, and you can mount that elsewhere in the space. And so this is a graphic of our dehumidification with hot gas reheat. So this is what we're really excited about this product offering. We are still waiting on Daikin to provide the controls that go associated with it. That we've been told it's estimated April 2022. We can start giving selections for it now, but it's a really impressive design where you'll have a DX coil mounted onto a unit with another DX coil. And then the initial cooling that you have off the cooling coil brings the air temperature down to 55 F. And then using the waste heat from the outdoor unit, we're able to reheat that back up to as close to room temperature as we can get. Sometimes you won't be able to get there fully, but it allows you to have that tempered air, but also not have to get such a penalty on the heating and cooling in your building using this type of solution. So again, it's available April 2022, but feel free to ask Leroy and we can get you more updates on that as well. I've been alluding to this a bit throughout my presentation, but we have quite the intuitive and advanced control system on this unit. We use a provider of Denmark called OJ, and we have multiple control functionalities. Typically, we can do constant volume or demand control ventilation based on a CO2 sensor that is duct mounted in the return duct, or we can do VAV pressure where we provide all this, the pressure sensors. Regardless of how that is operated, we provide all the sensors needed to the operation. So that is all communicated in the submittal phase of getting one of our units to site. You can also have different types of weekly programming. There's filter alarms. And of course, using this control, we regulate the discharge air temperature accordingly. So another exciting part, as I mentioned before, we use a fixed plate core exclusively. So there is no moving parts within it in terms of the energy recovery. We have minimal crossover over the core. We are, of course, HRI certified for less than 0.5% crossover. And it's using that ERV, we're able to provide that 40 to 60% perfect, like relative humidity that's being delivered into the space using that latent recovery. Now to quickly review some of the applications that we have seen our projects in. We've done about 170 projects to date in the past two and a half years. And this was actually our first project. So this was a student residence at UBC. It was in April of 2020, so right around when COVID hit. And what happened is they decided they wanted more fresh air delivered into the space. The building, as you can see on the bottom left, it was a 28-year-old building with minimal to no ventilation. The only ventilation they really have is opening a window, which of course they were looking for a bit of a solution there. So what we did is we mounted, they actually ended up gutting 2 of the student residence rooms because there was no mechanical room or mechanical room space available, and mounted 2 of our units. And that's that middle image there. Our 2 units are mounted in the ceiling. And then if you look to the bottom right, that is the DX coil that is in the attic. So they ducted the DX coil into the attic due to space restraints, and then ducted it down. So we gave them about 2.5 inches of external static pressure to be able to have that airflow go up into the ceiling and then back down and dispersed into the space. You'll see on the bottom left there as well, those are the Daikin VRV outdoor units. These are a couple of retrofit projects we've done as well. The one on the left was a heritage building here in Vancouver. They couldn't get any units through the doors. So what they had to do is split our unit into 2 parts, the fan section separately from the core section, put it into the elevator and get it into the space. And then I was actually on site to help reassemble it. And you can see it was a good kind of compact solution. It was very minimal space. And here they mounted the control box elsewhere just due to the space requirements. On the right, we have a elementary school out in Nebraska. And this one, they didn't want to have the downswing doors that you see in the left image. So we gave them the option for those side access doors. So those are where you'd be doing any fan maintenance or filter changes. This is also a really cool project we worked on in New York City. It was a steakhouse that needed to upgrade to a larger DOAS system. So what they did is they mounted our DOAS system on the right there against the wall. And then just to make it, I guess, a bit more aesthetically pleasing, they actually put wine barrels in front of it. So that DOAS system is completely exposed to the space, but using our ECM fans and quiet operation, we're able to be able to fit it into a spot that typically wouldn't be used for HVAC equipment. And then the designer put the wine barrels there in front of it after. So thank you all very much. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, our website has a lot of information, or of course, just ask the Long team.
Awesome. Thank you, Johnny. We've got a lot of great information there. If anybody was lucky enough to see them down in ASHRAE this last week, you can tell that their units they're built to last a lifetime. So appreciate it. If you need any help laying one of these out, feel free to reach out to one of your long sales engineers. We'll be happy to help you get that on your project. Join us again next week for Jordan Weiss, working with Daikin Applied on integrated systems and factory mounted controls. Appreciate everybody attending. Thank you very much.